Are we good? I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. You're
Doc,
good. We're
you
all
good?
good. We're good. That's what they actually taught us to say that in CPR training. If you're first responder 101 or some shit, is if you've got somebody with portable paddles and they need to defib somebody, you don't say clear like in the TV shows. You say I'm good, you're good, we're all good, and then you do it.
I mean, normally my thing is to scream, "Come back to us at will of Odin," and then shock the shit out of them.
Can you command the power of lightning? Because if you can, we've got a TV show.
By the great,
You're gonna be the new Dr. Pole. You're gonna be the new animal doctor. We're gonna bring animals back to life.
By the power of all that is evil, I command you to arise and make me a sandwich.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Please tell me you got that.
Of course, I always get Metalocalypse references. Oh, Jesus, yeah, so there's just gonna be a dead pigeon on the side walking, strike it with lightning, bring it back to life. Be like, yeah, I totally did that. They're talking to some hot chick right next to me, like, yeah, I totally did that. So, what are you doing later? And she's like, don't touch me.
What are you doing later? I'm sure it'll be a shocking experience.
Ooh.
And she just gets out a mace and sprays you in the face.
Yeah.
Well, that
Now
was
that's a shocking experience.
Not just any mace, bear mace.
Why do all my fantasies involving hot women always end in them injuring me somehow?
Why does it always end up with the mace? Why the mace?
It's like,
I think you have a kink, Doc.
I've what's
I
it?
haven't noticed.
What is that called when you're in? Not when you're into like being cucked, but when you're into being. Okay, the GIF that Omega. Okay, Omega, you don't keep on posting the GIF, but you keep on. Wait, maybe it's not you. Somebody keeps on typing in like ouch, ow my balls. Maybe it's Fluffy, and it keeps on coming up with the same fucking GIF of the chick boxer who just goes to town on that dude's crotch. What's that fetish called? But not localized to your balls. Just what's that fetish called?
Sadomasochism?
Just good old-fashioned masochism.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm fine. Is masochism more or less like in the same column? Is it in the column directly adjacent to vanilla these days? It seems like there's a plethora of kinks out there that are more interesting.
The answer is
S&M is like the classic, but it's also like the umbrella term.
Indeed.
Yeah.
In some degrees. I don't think it's, been lessened by any of the weird, freaky shit that also goes on nowadays. But, the world of kinks has definitely expanded.
Yeah. Now it's full of weeb shit and furries.
I was just about to say,
they're not people.
Well, you're right. They're first of all, they're technically not human, but second of all, we have fetish communities out there where it's just like, yeah, I want
Continue that thought, Doc.
I want you to dress me up like a horse and ride me around, saying, yeah, good Sally Struthers.
I've seen that video on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. I told Leetness to put it up there. Leetness, by the way, has an absolutely legitimate fetish where he likes dressing up like a horse. I am convinced.
Does he like to be the back end or the front end?
Yes.
Oh, always the back.
He does it all. He's not particular like that. So we've been talking, let's see, about pervy sex jokes, so I think that's a great way to lead into our opening story tonight, which is that Bob Saget, the Full House star and comedian, passed away at 65. For anyone here who's familiar with Bob Saget's sense of humor, I think he really would have appreciated our conversation just now. So, he was a good guy, he was a funny guy, and it sucks. 65 is very young these days.
I mean, seeing as Betty White passed away before the new year at the age of 99, that does seem young in comparison.
And Sidney Poitier, Sidney Poitier was last week, and I think he was also in his 90s.
I think he's 80s or 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I totally missed that one. I did not realize that he had passed beyond the veil.
Oh, god damn it, Wikipedia. Why can't you just give me dates? He was born in 1927. So he was
Wow.
in his he was in his 90s. Wait, 1920, 2020. Yeah. There you go. He was 93. So yeah. Anyway, Bob Saget passed away. I will forever remember him as one of the original meme lords, as Masami very accurately posted. Before the internet, Bob Saget was the guy who brought us our cat videos.
Yep.
Remember that the first time I ever heard of YouTube, because yes, I am that old, that the moment I saw YouTube, I'm like, oh, now people don't have to send in their videotapes to someone. They can just put it up themselves. That's cool. Literally, the exact thought.
There were a couple of years there where my family religiously watched America's Funniest Home Videos every
Oh my god, it was so
Saturday
good.
night TV at that time.
You
Yeah.
and every family in America.
It was a hugely popular show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you were doing shit on a Saturday night, you had something to fucking do.
That's right. And I don't know what night of the week that Star Trek was on, but that was the only other show that we pretty much never missed.
It was on Thursdays for me. I remember
Oh,
very
CBS.
vividly watching a lot of Star Trek on Thursdays. Because I think it was on syndication at TNT or something like that.
Can anyone actually sing the America's Funniest Home Video theme song? I just remembered it.
I never watched it enough to actually ever get it memorized. It was the one show that I was never really interested in all that much.
Blasphemy. America, America, this is
you.
Oh my god. God bless you, Bob Saget.
I think I've loved watching his stand up because he was one of those no holds barred comedians that just kind of went with it. He didn't care who he offended. He was very firmly in the camp of comedy is the last bastion of free speech.
Well, he
Well-
also didn't actually say anything controversial. He just was blue. He
Yeah.
said
Yes.
he was a filthy shock value comedian. He was not a let me do some very well crafted jokes on some controversial topics opinion. He was the let's see how many different ways I can shock and disgust my audience that's here expecting to see the wholesome dad from Full House, and instead I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna play the song about how I wanted to fuck Kimmy Gibbler.
Yeah.
Remember that? Oof.
Yeah, and also twin jokes. Yeah, that was a big kicker in some of his earlier stand. When I say earlier, he's been doing stand up for years. But after Full House was syndicated and he wasn't making those shows, and he was doing mainly stand up comedy. A big part of his first series of shows was cashing in on that shock value, because everybody did know him as either America's Funniest Home Videos, where he never said a swear and was always very family and PC, or Full House, where he never said a swear word and was always very family friendly and PC. So yeah, you go to one of his comedy shows and you hear him saying cunt, and it's just funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was very blue, and he did. He said, I don't know. He and Norm Macdonald for me are very similar, but Norm Macdonald was.
Well, they were also like best friends.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, they did. The article actually does say that. Well, along with being best friends, Bob Saget also. I didn't realize he directed the 1998 film Dirty Work, which was Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang's comedic project.
Yeah, like the three of them were, I think, a lot closer than people realize. Like as friends, and as loosely as you could use the term coworker among comedians.
Yeah.
They were definitely members of the same group of comedians, if you want to phrase it that way. Yeah, and some fucking how Artie Lang survived and outlived both.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald and Bob Saget passed away, and Artie Lang is still alive.
Doesn't have half a face left, but I mean, he's still fucking alive.
So I expect Artie Lang to do a long stand-up bit about how, he outlived both of these young men.
So I saw that Bob died in like a hotel in Florida, but I
And
heard the
Ritz.
verbiage. His hotel, or was it just his hotel room?
He
His
died
hotel room.
in the Ritz
Okay.
Carlton in Orlando while he was there on tour.
On tour.
Oh
Yeah,
my
he had just started a
fuck.
new stand-up tour, and he was in Florida. He had performed on Saturday, and the hotel staff found him unresponsive on Sunday.
Shit.
So that's just compounding tragedy here. He was on a fucking stand-up tour, and we were probably
yeah,
going
he
to
was
get another
only-
Bob Saget special out of it.
Yeah, he was only 60.
That would have been nice.
Might as well.
It would have been lovely. Yeah, I enjoy all of his comedy.
But instead, we're gonna get a Dane Cook special.
Fuck
Yeah,
that shit.
Oh, poor Dane
That's
Cook.
not fair. Dane Cook is better than he gets credit for.
He really
was
is.
he was popular for a while.
He was also a product of his time, and we can look back and be like, "Oh, that all seems so hacky," but like
At the
he was
time,
legitimately one of the most famous and highest paid comedians in the industry at the time. So people can make fun of it all he wants, but like, dude,
it to the bank.
fucking nailed it.
He was even in the comedy movie Waiting, where he was used appropriately. It was probably the best movie he ever did.
Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch.
Is the line that everybody remembers from Waiting because Dane Cook delivered it very well.
Carpe
Where the line
D's
is
nuts. God, I can't wait to quit this job.
Yeah, also that. Yep, that's right.
Now I know where these quotes come from. I've only ever heard the quotes.
Great movie.
Such a good
Watch
movie.
Again, it is a product of its time.
Yeah,
Today-
it did not age well.
No,
at
it did
all.
not.
That movie would not get approved in a million years today by
A little
any
bit of-
executive of any movie studio. But
Little bit of sexual harassment.
little. That's
little.
like the main premise of the movie. That's literally the main story of the movie. Is just rampant sexual harassment in restaurants.
In its
Not
heart,
incorrect.
in its heart, Waiting is about family.
I mean,
if you've ever worked long term in a restaurant, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds
I mean,
trying to slam an underage girl.
I'm not even gonna lie. I have pulled the goat.
Okay. I never considered the goat to be all that impressive. I mean, you stick it's also called a fruit bowl. All right, so you give him a nice fruit bowl, fine. That seems kind of easy. What is more impressive to me is the bat, because
Yes.
any guy will know that when the junk is inside there, when you're wearing pants, sorry to blaspheme, the temperature and conditions are conducive to stretching everything out and making it look like a bat. Okay, that totally makes sense. But when you take it out, even maybe not in a kitchen, because kitchens do get very warm and moist, things tend to tighten up. Like if something tightens up, then you cannot do the bat.
No. If you're wearing any type of powder, the bat is not possible.
Yeah, and powder just negates the whole equation. So the bat requires like forethought and planning, whereas the goat, I feel like anybody can do the goat at any time.
I mean, you just have to ask somebody if it looks like you sat in gum, and boom, there's the goat.
Is there an unrated version of Waiting?
Actually, yes, there is, and I own it.
We'll go into Zero Cam briefly while I figure out Discord here. Hey, what's up, Zero? All right, we're going to Kosen
Zero
Cam.
didn't keep you waiting on that information.
No, it's great. Actually, I love your background too.
Yeah. All kinds of shit all over the walls, shenanigan style.
All right, so Waiting came out in 2005. There's a sequel to it, which nobody needs to see.
Well, I've watched it. It's awful.
The unrated portions mainly concern the testicles and vagina shots near the end of the movie that had to be. Oh, I have the unrated version then.
Yeah.
I mean, because I see there's like a ball shot. It's not the goat. I
Yeah.
don't think. Maybe it is the goat. I don't remember. But I remember that in the unrated version, Alana Ubach, who plays the most discouraged waitress in the entire shenanigans joint. Yeah, you get to see like full bush. It's probably not even her bush. It's probably just somebody's
Oh,
bush.
it's a giant merkin.
Yeah, it's a huge. It does look pretty fake.
It's fucking awful.
Yeah, it does look pretty fake.
I mean, that's the whole joke. It's got like shit in it. It's literally got like
It's got
in
yeah
the hair that she
pubic
picks
dander.
out and flicks at somebody.
Pubic
Like,
dander. Yeah, it's got the
yeah.
all the it's nasty. But it's great. It's fucking hilarious. Alright, so yeah. Rip Bob Saget, we're gonna continue being filthy and talking about Lord knows what in your honor forever, because I think he would be happy that people are not afraid to talk about gross shit if it's funny. And
I
yep,
think he
we
would
can
be
relate
happy
to it.
knowing that everybody is taking every opportunity possible to make jokes about his death.
It's true.
Yeah,
We're
that
paying
is
a
true.
lot of attention to him. You only roast people that you love.
That is true.
If
My
that's
first
the
thought
case-
was it was probably drugs, and then the news said that the police have stated that there was no evidence of foul play or drug use at the scene. And my first thought is, of course, Bob Saget is smart enough to tell the hooker that he's doing drugs with, if I die, take all the drugs and leave, and just let them find my body and ask questions later. So
Exactly.
Yeah, they wouldn't know unless they did an autopsy. I wonder if they're planning on doing as a post-mortem.
they
blood work.
are. The article that I saw said that the medical examiner will eventually release their results, but nothing yet.
Right, I'm sure they're going to do everything possible.
I
to
mean,
confirm.
as much as that man has probably abused his body with drugs and alcohol, he most likely just died because of poor health, not because he, OD'd or something like that.
That was my thinking as well.
Whatever. It's impossible to guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
It's-
will
it's-
know eventually.
It's
It
like
wouldn't be the
I told-
first time a guy who has no history of doing ridiculous drugs or anything like that winds up dead in a hotel room from an overdose, and it also wouldn't be the first time that somebody, while not doing anything, croaked because of a history of doing all kinds of shit.
Exactly.
Carrie
And
Fisher.
that was the point that I brought up with Omega, yesterday when we talked about it, when him and I were playing around in GTA. It's one of those things where it's like, Jerry Garcia, when he died, he was in rehab. He was doing nothing. His system was clean, and his system couldn't handle being clean, so he died.
I'm also just going to say that, the thought of somebody, doing drugs and ODing while in rehab isn't exactly unheard of.
No, it's not.
Nope.
But
no, Zero's point is very well taken. Not doing drugs killed the man.
Is that the lesson we're supposed to be taking from this doc?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that is why you must drink. Always drink. Is the only thing that makes life bearable.
Fun story. There's a large group of scientists and doctors in Canada who are now pushing the government to add cancer labels to alcohol.
what?
It
We need to
does.
find these
Yeah.
doctors and beat them profusely with soap wrapped in socks.
I mean,
It's
alcohol is
absolutely
the
true.
third leading cause of preventable cancer death behind smoking and obesity. So,
Yep. smoking, obesity, and alcohol. And if possible or potential cancer wasn't enough on alcohol, you also have kidney failure and heart disease and cirrhosis of the liver, and possible hepatitis. Who knows?
Legalize weed, everybody. This is the story.
Everybody should legalize weed, and then they should bake it into brownies, and we should eat them. You don't even need to smoke weed anymore. You can eat it, and it's fantastic.
I was about to say edibles are actually the best way to go when it comes to weed. Although I do love smoking my occasional joint and or bong.
I mean, there you go. That's all you need. Excuse me while I hop on a Twitch for a moment. I realize that I don't do this. Oh! The Twitch podcast label. Last podcast of 2021. I bet I forget to change this title later. Yes, I did.
How much do you owe yourself?
Nothing this time. I didn't bet.
He's gonna pay himself later.
Yeah, I'm gonna punch myself in the dick a bunch later. That'll be great.
I mean,
Is it a punishment if you enjoy it?
That's exactly where I was going. Thank you, Zero. You just got there a whole lot faster than I did.
And that's the point where I need to get out of your head.
And that's now the title of our podcast.
Get out of my head?
If you want to stay here, be my guest, but beware.
All right.
I don't know. Your gutter is quite nice. They at least clean every once in a while.
I don't know what illusion spell I left in that part of the gutter, but apparently it was a good one.
What did you mean, Masami? What did you mean when you said that you're paying attention to my masochist tendencies and it must pertain to D&D because that's the only place where you have agency over me.
Very limited with lots of consent agency.
All I can remember is the vampire lady who almost tried to get me in the room. I was really enthused about that. That's why Barry pulled his pants down. To set the scene for everyone, there was combat in D&D a while ago. This is like last year. This is so long ago. Where we were in the upstairs of an attic and we were fighting. The group was fighting a bunch of vampires. I don't think I was contributing very much at all, but I did get one of the female vampires really pissed off at me, and I turned a corner and closed the door and pulled my pants down, and then she burst into the room on her turn. I'm just imagining. What do you do? What do you do when you're fighting a guy and he runs into a room and you run into the room and you run in, you see him pants down, dick out, arms wide open with a big old smile on his face? How do you do?
Ask Ryan Reynolds. I feel like he has an answer for this question.
He probably does.
I mean, I'd pause. I'd be like, oh, look at that.
Well, there was a comedian that said that whenever you get into a fight, just pull your pants down because ain't nobody fighting a guy with his dick out.
That was also a piece of advice from an acting coach. Jesus Christ, I forget who was. Who I think it might have been Alfred Molina who told this story. But he had an acting coach who was extremely British, and the acting coach just basically told him, if you're ever in a play and you forget your lines, just drop your trousers, turn to the audience, and say, "Ha ha! I'm Captain Hook."
That's one way to handle it.
I was like, that's fucking brilliant. That guy obviously has it all figured out. All right, so Kosen is playing Subnautica, and I'm going to guess that you found the giant tree, and this is the River of Goodness, and you built yourself a base by the giant tree, as is tradition. Well done.
Yeah, this is my second playthrough. First time I had it on Xbox Game Pass, but on Steam's big winter sale, I bought Subnautica and Below Zero. And before I play Below Zero, I was like, I'm going to play the regular Subnautica. And so, yeah, that's basically what I was doing.
I forget which one of us, either Omega or myself, established this tradition, but one of us discovered that this by the tree is the safest place in the entire game. Nothing attacks you, everything is friendly, and the water doesn't try to kill you. Pressure will
Yeah,
kill you.
pretty
Now,
much.
you're stuck between two areas filled with things that will try to kill you,
Definitely.
but
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
pretty
right there.
delightful place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the happy hole.
Yeah, and plus additionally on top of that, you're nearby thermal vents, so if you want
Unlimited
to go
power.
yeah, if you want like to do thermal power rather than actually doing nuclear power, which you can do both because
Nuclear.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear, George.
I think your Michigan accent's coming out at you.
Don't you know?
There's only one U in nuclear.
That's Minnesotan zero.
It's Minnesota.
There's a difference.
But yeah, no,
Michigans are anger.
Kosen's absolutely right. This is the Palpatine unlimited power situation because there are thermal vents all over the fucking place. And yeah, that shit is good energy.
Oh yeah. But there's also plenty of uranite crystals, lead, titanium, and quartz to make into glass. So you could make your also nuclear reactor and just power your base via that. You've got a pretty good supply of all of that.
I, for one, prefer sacrificing living beings to create power.
I figured you would be the one.
Bioreactor.
I figured you're a bioreactor.
You get a nice, beautiful, giant 3-story tall tank.
Yeah.
In your little base there in the tree.
Yeah.
In the underwater cave, and you grow some nice exotic animals, and every once in a while you throw them in the bioreactor, and you have power, all the power you need.
More blood for the blood god.
Oh my
What's really funny?
God.
What's more renewable? Using these minerals that were produced in the explosion of stars,
finite amounts on our planet,
millennia and millennia ago, or to use such a renewable resource as things that you could just grow. I mean,
yeah, right.
Clearly, the more sustainable thing is to murder animals, raise animals and murder them to convert them into biofuel.
They weren't making Soylent Green out of sand, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, I don't.
People.
What's funny is the fact that one of my previous bases is kind of set up that way, where I have a bioreactor and I had alien containment for the purposes of growing things. And it was all stemmed from the fact that one of the time capsules that I found had the heated knife in there, which is great to get in early game, because then you could just, go around stabbing fish and then eating them right away for, nutrients. And then somebody sent me a cuttlefish egg, which the cuttlefish are, as far as I understand, are really rare. Because I got sent a cuttlefish egg, and then I found the cuttlefish egg in the undersea, or basically the really deep underwater base that you have to go explore eventually. So now I have my cuttlefish has a friend, and it's very nice.
Oh.
Cuttlefish can cuddle.
I know. There's
anytime that somebody brings up blood for the blood god, the only thing I think is from Space Marines, I'm sorry, brother, I will not go heretical 3 turns later. Kill, maim, burn.
Blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne.
Darn tootin'.
Oh God, I love it. Oh.
So what else do we got in the news that is gaming related?
Not terribly much in the news. January. It's January, which someone coined the phrase years ago. Fuck you, it's January. Basically, this is when nothing happens. All the shit just sort of accumulates, and nobody's really doing anything interesting. Unfortunately, it also happened to be this time of year when Sidney Poitier and Bob Saget died. But yeah, apart from that, nothing really important happened. I suppose we could talk about Take-Two Interactive trying to buy Zynga for $12.7 billion. I say trying. They are definitely buying Zynga, which is known for
Oh,
Farmville.
really?
Yes, Zynga is best known for Farmville. I guess Farmville is the thing that most people would know, and this is the
Right.
developer of that. However, they also developed a Harry Potter game. It's in this article somewhere. Harry Potter Spells and Secrets, I believe it's called. Puzzles and Spells. And they also developed CSR Racing and Empires and Puzzles. So they are a mobile game creator, and
Mhm.
they have two well-known titles out, and that would be the Harry Potter title and Farmville. And Take-Two is purchasing them for $12.7 billion, even though their appraisal is apparently closer to $11 billion. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Closer to $11 billion according to CNBC calculations. And the deal is going to be funded by $2.7 billion in financing from JP Morgan. And yeah, the big news in the gaming community, I guess, this week is, what is Take-Two Interactive up to, buying a mobile company, or is this just a 10-cent move where they are buying a company that will guaranteed produce them revenue and they'll just sit on it?
Figured they're either going to be making a mobile game or diversifying.
Something along those lines, yeah.
So you think they're actually going to utilize this property?
Potentially. It really depends. I mean, honestly, I could see them using it to gain revenue at first and then eventually expanding into it. Like, because Zynga, or however it's pronounced,
Bazinga!
yeah,
Bazinga.
they're a mobile company. I could see them like releasing the equivalent of mobile games, like GTA adjacent or Red Dead adjacent mobile games, because there's a lot of companies that do that. Square Enix has released their fair share of mobile games. Hell, Nintendo working with Niantic to release Pokemon Go, and there's a lot of different examples out there of various companies either working with or producing their own mobile games for various genres that they could do. It could be a really easy market for them to get into,
Well, but
especially
this is
if they
interesting because
have.
they're just straight up buying this company. That like this isn't like Nintendo didn't buy Niantic.
That's true.
That's a partnership, and also Zynga is massive and has been around forever. Like this shouldn't be disregarded as like, oh, this big gaming studio bought this mobile developer. Like this is on the level of like ActiBliz acquisition, like $12 billion acquisition. Zynga is not a like shouldn't just be referred to as like a mobile developer. They are a massive, massive company that has for a very long time been making tons of mobile games. And you know, I've seen them all over the place for years and years and years. So this is more. This isn't like Take-Two's like, oh, let's get this company to make some mobile games based off of our IP or whatever. Like, you know, oh, Diablo Immortal, look at that. No, this is like Take-Two, like, hey, we're in mobile games now, by the way. This is them saying, like, we are a mobile gaming company now as well.
It should also be pointed out, well, Kosen brought this up, and the first thing that came to mind is, Warframe also has a mobile companion app, which is very underdeveloped at this point, and I'm surprised that there isn't some sort of internal project to make that more popular. However, GTA has a mobile companion app that at least a couple of us know about because it's required if you want to have custom license plates. So what I did back in the day is I got this mobile companion app, I created my customized license plates, and then I promptly deleted the companion app because I noticed that it needed permissions for a lot of stuff that it really shouldn't have needed permissions for. Like my contact list and my microphone and my camera and my picture gallery and just things that this app didn't really interact with at all. So that's always suspicious to me. But
Yeah.
it could be okay. So yeah, massive mobile app developer. Entirely possible that Rockstar is gonna get into mobile gaming. I mean, hell, why the hell wouldn't you? It's an enormous market here and in China. So they could definitely go after that, but they could also, as Kosen said, they could also make companion apps for new titles. What if they wanted to actually do mobile integration into GTA 6? They obviously have time to develop that because I don't picture GTA 6 being out anytime in the next 5 years.
Yeah, me neither.
They could do a Red Dead companion app, but I don't picture that ever happening because Take-Two seems very uninterested in developing Red Dead much further beyond the bare minimum of just saying, hey, the game is still alive. I definitely think that they don't make nearly as much money off of it as they do off GTA.
Well, but also like GTA, you use the cell phone in game, and like the app is based on that, and it kind of makes sense. Like a Wild West based cowboy game doesn't make sense to whip out your cell phone and.
That is true.
It didn't in Assassin's Creed Unity either. However, just from the perspective of I'm in 19th century France, or I'm in 17th. It's 19th century France. There's no mobile apps, but there was a companion mobile app, and what it turned out to be was an interactive map that would just sync up to the game that you were playing, and it was an easier way for you to navigate around and find shit. It still sucked because it was Ubisoft, but it was a novel idea.
Yeah.
And that was what, like 10 years ago? 8 years ago? So that was pretty novel at the time. And then they never did it again. But anyway, yeah, that is this is possible. Big deal for Take-Two. We can see what they decide to come out with.
I'm interested.
I think it's funny also to note that Take-Two Interactive stocks plummeted on the acquisition deal, but Zynga up 46.17% in the screen cap of this video right here. So Zynga's stock price doubled, and Take-Two's tanked.
Isn't that actually a typical thing when it comes to circumstances like that where
Yes, sometimes that definitely does happen. Especially if it's sudden and not terribly well announced. That can definitely happen. It's not like, I mean, you take a look at what Take-Two is just on this screen cap. I don't know what their current market share is worth, but it's 143 down 20 points. And Zynga's was 8.7 up 2.7. So
investors are so squirrely and so nervous all the time. They really need to take, some relaxers.
I'm pretty sure they OD on Xanax on a regular basis.
Yes, thank goodness. And we're back to drugs.
Xanax
full circle, folks. Full circle.
Full
yes,
circle.
It is.
Well, I've got some news. If anybody's interested, we've got
Sorry, go ahead. I was
Damn.
I was going to talk about NVIDIA actually a little bit. It appears to be that they're currently in the midst of their own acquisition in reference to Take-Two's acquisition. It looks like they're trying to buy a company called ARM. And it appears to be that it's they're currently in the midst of that negotiation process with the government to see whether or not if they can actually buy the company so that they don't accidentally create a monopoly. But it appears to be that one of their main arguments is NVIDIA argues it should be allowed to buy ARM because Intel and AMD are really, really good. Now, that's not obviously the exact argument that they made, but that's essentially what it boils down to.
That should have been the exact argument that they made. Everybody would have gotten behind that.
I would have backed that shit like a spine.
So I pulled up an article here just for some background information. ARM is a chip chip designer. So NVIDIA, this deal is happening in the UK, and the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, which is basically their what? It's SEC.
Yeah, well, it's like the equivalent of
The Securities and Exchange Commission is what goes after people for anti-competition or monopoly, and that's essentially what's happening here. So yeah, the UK does the blah blah blah. CMA's chief executive Andrea Caselli is commenting that NVIDIA controlling ARM would create real problems for NVIDIA's rivals by limiting their access to key technologies. So this could theoretically, the UK's argument apparently is that the NVIDIA takeover of ARM could push competition out of the UK specifically. Which could be. I mean, if ARM is like the major chip designer over in the UK and they're exclusive to NVIDIA, then yeah, other people trying to get chips designed would kind of be screwed. And there's already a chip shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So if NVIDIA uses ARM to give itself special treatment, quote, the chips that are available might have worse performance or cost more than they already do. So yeah, I actually didn't realize that this was going on. Thank you, Kosen. This started in November of last year, and it's still going.
It also appears to be that SoftBank was actually the one that approached NVIDIA to buy ARM. Like it was a proposal. It was proposed by a third party, which I've never seen that be a thing before. But I guess I'm wondering if SoftBank owns controlling interest or something along those lines in ARM, and was like, oh hey, we can make a ton of money if we get this other big company to invest in it.
That's weird. I know. Okay, so financially that makes sense to me, but for some reason the first thing that I thought of was that two women are roommates, and one woman introduces her roommate to the handsome guy down the street with the huge dick, so that they can start dating, so that she can start cheating on him with her, start cheating on her with him. So that's an interesting way to get some dick.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that not exactly where my thought was going on that, but I'm
But
yeah.
Bob Saget. I can't believe I forgot to bring it up when we were talking about Bob Saget, but anybody else here who watched Tourette's Guy will immediately know that, yeah, one of his phrases was, oh, Bob Saget!
Yeah, I've been thinking about Tourette's Guy a lot since the news happened. That's good old-fashioned Internet 1.0 shit there.
Yeah. Again, something that would not be allowed on YouTube these days.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was really surprised that Filthy Frank was doing brand new videos as recently as 5 years ago. I know that's like pre-Me Too, but...
There's my lube.
Yeah.
What?
There's never enough lube.
Hell.
He's grabbing his lube. He needs it for his giant sex toy.
It's clear that we need to show Masami the gigantic 22,000-gallon thing of lube.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's just a 55-gallon drum of lube. And she was there. Wait, wasn't you? She was there. She came up with the title for that podcast.
Yeah. No, it was more than 55 gallons.
No, like it was like one of those big plastic cube containers that has like the metal cage around it to give it structural stability. Oh. Yeah, it was something like 500 gallons or somewhere in that range.
Okay.
35,200 fluid ounces.
Divide it by 128.
Oh God, math. Moment.
This is why calculators were invented, so your brain can freeze.
Divided by how much?
128.
A gallon.
275 gallons.
275 gallons. All right, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, the one that I'm thinking of is the giant blue 55-gallon drum that had Charlotte Stokely photoshopped into it, because it was great. It was basically just it was a picture of a blue plastic 55-gallon drum. And there were 3 angles of it, and each angle had a different porn star in it. And I took a look at the first one. The first one up there was Charlotte Stokely, and I was like, wow, they got Charlotte Stokely to pose for their products. Wait a minute, and yeah, looked a little closer and like, I know where that picture came from. That's fucking photoshopped. Yeah, and yeah.
I'm proud that you know the exact picture or film that it was photoshopped from. My heart
Yeah,
warms.
it was a picture. I'm pretty sure that it was from either Twisties or I can actually tell you. Hang on. So we never actually talked about what we got for Christmas. I got new hard drives. Or
Yay!
more hard drives.
I'm glad that you got new hard drives.
You. My
We got
my sci-fi collection is also happy. It has space to breathe now.
got me a new Carhartt jacket. The wife bought me the Carhartt jacket I wanted. Thank God.
Oh,
Mine
that's
was
nice.
mine was getting a little ragged. I'd
I
had
got
it
a.
for
Oh, sorry.
I'd had it for like 8 years, and it was starting to come apart at the seams, and I couldn't zip it up anymore because I've gotten fat. So
You've not gotten fat. You've just got more plump.
that's
Think of
just
it.
a nicer way of saying that I got fat.
I'm sorry, Zero.
Yeah.
I want to jump in there and say no, you're not fat. There's just more of you to love, and all the rest of that. I was typing, and I need to find the pic set.
Well, while you're doing that, I actually do want to mention that Bungie is actually doing something fun for high light level players in Destiny 2 who tank their light level to help new light players. They're giving people an emblem and a emblem and a couple of little pieces of livery for your profile in game. If you tank your light level down to a point where you get paired with new light players who come in at like an 1100 light score.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was from Stunners, by the way. What's a light score?
Okay, so you know how in games there's like an armor score, an armor rating where you get like
Yes.
X number of points. That's what the light level is. Light score in Destiny 2. You start off at 1100 and you build up to whatever the season cap is. This season it's 13. The hard cap is 1320 and you can go as high as 1350.
You know what I miss Zero from Destiny, and I've heard that it's not a thing in Destiny 2. Remember how certain strike bosses that when you killed them that they would actually drop armor pieces to make your, to kind of give you a different armor look, kind of like remember the Dark Blade Knight when if you were a Titan, he would drop a helmet piece that made your helmet look like his?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Now they sell that shit to you inside of the Eververse store.
Yeah, I know. Fuck that shit. Nostalgia.
But Bungie said, "Ha, you want stuff for free." I don't think so.
All right.
It is what it is. Let's see here.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. I wasn't dismissing that conversation at all. It's just that's enough of Charlotte Stokely for now.
No. That's fine. I've actually got other things that we could talk about.
Oh goodness.
I believe it was mentioned before. But who here's played Full Throttle?
There you go.
Yep.
Next
Nope.
topic.
Full Throttle is a graphic adventure video game developed by LucasArts. That's the only reason that I know what Full Throttle is, because back in the day. So, all right, this was what, a '90s game?
Yes.
I mean, obviously it was a '90s game. I don't think LucasArts was doing anything in before 1990 or after 1999.
Correct.
So yeah, LucasArts back in its heyday was putting out they also put out a title called Outlaw, which was just basically one of their Star Wars games with a Western skin. LucasArts put out a smattering of PlayStation and PC games back in the 90s, and most of them have been forgotten, including Full Throttle until just a moment ago. So yeah, what's going on? Are people
So
making
Duncan
vehicles?
Jones, Duncan Jones, the creator of Full Throttle, basically wants you to remember that he created Full Throttle and that he wrote a script for it and that he wants to make a movie.
Pass. I mean, we already have a better version of that. It's called what's it called? Ghost Flame Skull Ghost.
Ghost Rider
That's close enough.
with Nicolas Cage.
Well, that doesn't sound right, but yeah, Skull Rider. That sounds pretty close. Yeah, no, we've got one. We've got a movie like that.
Skull Rider. That sounds like a porn. Very well could be.
I mean, I figured that would be what your reaction was, but I am nonetheless amused.
No.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's like Amazon's got a Fallout series that's beginning production this year, directed by the Westworld co-creator Jonathan Nolan.
That actually might be decent, though.
Well, okay, think about it. Okay, just imagine, if you will, the synths that were in Fallout 4 are essentially the synths that were created in Westworld. They were made the exact same way. It's going to just be Westworld in a post-apocalyptic. Wait.
Think about it. Yeah, think about it.
Think about it. Westworld was a great show, though. I actually have finally gotten around to watching the whole thing.
I watched
lost the plot towards the last few seasons.
Yeah.
I watched up to a certain point in season 1, and I never continued it.
I think we got like 4 or 5 episodes in, and that was about it.
I don't know. I mean, it was good, but it wasn't, and it didn't grip me enough to make me want to stay and watch the rest of it.
Well, at the time we didn't have access to it, so it was like, do we want to actually go to the trouble of acquiring this? Please imagine the biggest dick quotes ever. And potentially get in trouble for it or not, and the answer was no.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, if I was gripped enough by the series, I would have gone through the trouble, but yeah, no, it did not grip me enough thus far.
I feel like season 1 was, in my opinion, amazing, but
Oh, yeah.
potentially to the level of, I would even call it groundbreaking quality TV, just how good the cast was in season 1 together, and just like how well crafted the storyline was. But they wrapped that all up at the end of season 1 and embarked on like an entire new storyline that, in my opinion, was just didn't have the same magic that the season 1 storyline had. So that, it kind of lost its steam for me.
I'm sorry. This whole time I've been trying to figure out who in the adult film star community has portrayed Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and I can't find a single person. Is it really so bad in the adult film industry that there's no one out there who can imitate The Rock and make a dirty movie? Really, it's so sad.
You're probably just taking for granted that no one's brave enough to actually put themselves in his shoes.
Either that, or just no one. Maybe there is a Dwayne Johnson porn movie like in the lineup, like The Rock does. They had like One Night in China, right? That was actually a sex video with China in it, and then they didn't really need anybody to play China in a porn movie because there was already China porn out there. Maybe the same thing is lined up with Dwayne Johnson. We can only hope.
I just want them to redo The Rock with The Rock.
Oh, the movie The Rock. Oh,
Yeah,
Would he
yep.
play? Yeah, who would he play? Would he play Ed Harris or Sean Connery or Nicolas Cage?
All
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
All
I
three.
was
He could
about-
play all three. Oh my
Yes.
god! Yeah, you could fucking do Suspiria with what's his name? God, why can I can picture his fucking face. Tilda Swinton. Fuck. Okay, it took forever for that joke, but yes, Tilda Swinton, one of the most handsome men I've ever seen. Yeah, and you could dress Dwayne the Rock Johnson up as he could do the Scottish accent with Sean Connery, and he could play the scared sort of nervous analyst with Nicolas Cage, and he could play the tyrannical general who thought he was doing the right thing as Ed Harris. That'd be great. I'd watch that.
So
I would believe it. I could see him selling that.
Yes, and you'd have to throw Kevin Hart in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He would
It's
play
gotta-
the
it's gotta
Nicolas
be a-
Cage character.
Well, but Dwayne Johnson, The Rock's already playing the Nicolas Cage character, so the Nicolas Cage character needs a sidekick. Oh no! Kevin Hart could play the one guy, the soldier guy who.
Oh
is,
yeah, fuck! What the hell is his name?
Yeah, that nervous dude who's the soldier who is like the runt of the litter, but he's the coolest guy standing next to Nicolas Cage.
No. I'm talking about the guy who fucking Nicolas Cage kills with the rocket. That's who Kevin Hart should play. Him.
I don't know that Dwayne Johnson has ever killed Kevin Hart in a movie. That might be groundbreaking.
But imagine.
Yeah, I know. Imagine Kevin Hart getting blown up by a rocket launcher. I can imagine. I can't say that I'm enthused to say that because I think Kevin Hart's just so darn cute. But it would. I mean, the special effects alone. We'd have to get Michael Bay back. He'd do it.
Of course he would fucking do it.
Shit, he'd do that shit for a fucking Klondike bar.
Yeah, you just back a dump truck full of money up onto his lawn. He'll do whatever the fuck you want. Can it have explosions in it? It's gotta have explosions in it. Yes.
Wait, no.
Yes, Michael. It can have explosions.
He wouldn't even need a dump truck full of money. The Transformers movies gave him 4, but
let's see.
He would probably do it for a small baggie of cocaine and a hooker.
He might. The small baggie of cocaine? I don't know about that.
It would have to be really good cocaine.
A generous baggie.
Yeah.
You tell him it's cocaine and it's actually flour. It's okay.
Speaking of The Rock, to go back to that one, has anyone seen his new movie, Red Notice?
No.
It's on Netflix. It's actually pretty entertaining.
So good.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. I almost didn't see the twist coming, but there's a twist. It's good.
Oh god. Red Notice. In the world of international crime, an Interpol agent attempts to hunt down and capture the world's most wanted art thief.
And it's got Ryan Reynolds, so it's really kind of...
Oh, Jesus Christ, this looks like a piece of shit. It's got Gal Gadot and The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. Great. Yeah, 3 people who are definitely known for their acting abilities.
Dude, Netflix has really been cramming that movie down my throat. Every time I go on Netflix, it's right there on top of, like, recommended and, top 10 lists today and, top movies. It's just all over the place.
Don't you want to watch it? No.
I was kind of
Oh my
impressed. I couldn't remember the name of the movie, so I just had to open my Netflix app, and it wasn't on like the front page. I'm like, God damn it, you're gonna make me search for this shit? What the fuck?
This is hilarious. Okay, first of all, let's put aside for a moment that the music is done by the same guy who did the soundtrack for The Sims 3.
Wait, what? Really?
Steve Jablonsky. That is that name, as far as I remember, that name is the name of the composer of the Sims 3 musical soundtrack, and he did a fucking great job, but I don't see him doing a movie about art thieves. Whatever, putting that aside, The names of the production companies involved just give me confidence. Who doesn't know Flynn Picture Company? I mean, I'm sure we've all heard of that. Then there's Seven Bucks Productions. Sounds like they're really dedicated to, making a quality movie at a budget cost. And of course, Bad Version Incorporated, which is a great thing to name your movie production company.
Well, I mean, come on.
Fantastic.
Kevin Smith's production company is called View Askew. Come on.
So, and this will just give you an idea of where all the bots are rushing to. This has a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. It also coincidentally has a 37% on Metacritic. But 87% of Google users liked this movie. There's something wrong with those stats.
Well, my only thought, and this is something I think a lot about these scores, is that there's a difference between a good movie and a movie people like.
Yes.
I like plenty of bad movies.
It's
I mean,
true.
That
I
is
do
true.
I do like plenty of bad movies, but when I review a movie that's terrible that I really like, I give it a positive, or I give it a negative, and then I say, but it's really good. Or if it's the other way around, I give it a positive and I say, but it's horrible. So that's worth bringing up here. Google distills it down to a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because nobody on Google likes to read. Reading is for poor people.
So when it comes to reviewing movies, I don't go by Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. And the reason why is look no further than the reviews for specific movies that the critics absolutely loved, but then but then like the audience was like, we fucking hate this movie, it was awful. And then people are like, oh hey, it's like Ghostbusters Afterlife. 62% critics rated it 62%, but the audience rated it 95. I am in that 95% because I thought the movie was great. It was a great callback to the original. Good movie.
That's okay, so that's the thing. I mean, if you're watching that movie because you want nostalgia and you want member berries, yeah, sure. It's just like whatever Nicolas Cage movie came out where it was a Five Nights at Freddy's knockoff. If the only reason you're watching that movie is because you want to see Nicolas Cage beat the crap out of puppets, then yeah, it's going to be a great movie. You're going to have a good time or anything. That doesn't actually make it a good movie. It's a fucking mess, honestly, and there's
Oh no,
nothing
I watched
really
it.
original or great about it.
I
But
watched that movie and loved every fucking second of it. It was awful, and I loved it.
yeah, see, there's the thing. It's perfectly all right to like awful movies, as long as you know that you're not liking it for its artistic value. It's like I just looked up an article, Netflix, the most watched movies and TV shows of 2021, from Red Notice to Sweet Tooth. There's a giant fucking picture from a screen grab of the Vegas girl from Army of the Dead, and that was one of the most watched movies on Netflix. And it's like, yeah, people really liked Army of the Dead. Probably because they really liked Aliens, and they didn't realize that Army of the Dead is an Aliens remake.
Essentially. I will have to say that out of all the things that I've watched on Netflix recently, I really liked Arcane. I didn't think I was actually going to like it, but I liked it. Arcane's pretty good.
Have any of you seen Don't Look Up?
I have not seen that.
It's a new movie on Netflix right now. It's got quite a cast. Leo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence.
Kate Blanchett, Ariana Grande.
It is
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, it has got a crazy cast. I saw something that it's like already since its release, which has been like a couple weeks at most now. It's like the third most watched movie on Netflix. It was all right.
Tell you
Well,
what,
tell me if this sounds remotely familiar. Two astronomers go on a media tour to warn humankind of a planet-killing comet hurtling towards Earth.
sounds like the movie. What was it? Armageddon. Space Cowboys.
or Deep Impact or Space Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, except in those movies, we discovered the asteroid and the whole planet snapped into action. This sounds like a more modern day take where somebody realizes it and nobody gives a shit because we're too bogged down in all our petty whatever. Like watching,
it's
like discussing
movies-
Netflix shows.
The movie's getting a shit ton of attention for like making such a powerful point, and oh my god, so brave, blah, blah. It's a very thin, weakly veiled allegory, and it is too on the nose. It is like it. I did not think it was as good as all of the people who seem to be like raving about it. It's the kind of thing where like people are saying they love it, and even the reviewers are saying they love it because it's the kind of thing where it's virtue signaling. Like, if you say you like this movie, it's because, blah, 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 politics, blah, blah, blah.
Because I care about the environments.
Well, I mean, it's a thinly veiled allegory for the fact that politicians, and mainly conservatives, haven't done shit about any of the problems. Like, it's actually an allegory for global warming.
Okay,
having read about what people were saying, like what the writers and like the people actually involved in the movie are saying. It's basically an allegory for global warming. How scientists have been saying that the world's basically going to end from it if we don't do something about it, and no politicians, no one in industry or anything is doing anything about it. And the movie is a comedic take on that sort of like that reality, but it's so on the nose that it felt like a movie where they slapped together a shitty script based off of an idea that like was written down while some guys were drinking at a bar, and they just threw a bunch of money at some big name stars to fill out the cast to get people to watch it.
Okay, so
Like,
as soon as you said
Meryl Streep, I hate her character in this. Jonah Hill, hate his character in this. Like, it's just it's bad.
As soon as you said global warming, and I see the cast list for this on Google: Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Blanchett, Ariana Grande, Timothy Chalamet, Meryl Streep, and then it goes off the screen. As soon as you said global warming, I don't think that this was something that somebody came together in a bar and threw cash at people. This sounds like, I'm gonna bet that Leonardo DiCaprio was an executive producer. I haven't looked yet. I'm gonna bet that he was an executive producer if it has to do with global warming.
I mean,
IMDb right now.
I don't doubt that the people involved in this are doing it as a because they believe in the message, blah blah blah, that kind of bullshit. But like, just the point is that the idea is pretty fucking half baked, and the execution could have been way better, I think. I did not find it as funny as they had hoped it would be.
I'll tell you, the wife and I watched. We could not find anything to watch Saturday, and we were both feeling kind of crummy. She had just gotten her booster, or her COVID booster, so she was feeling super crummy. And I put on, and normally I'm not one to just pick a Disney animated movie because that's just not the person that I am. But I've been hearing so many good things about Encanto that I actually sat down and watched it, and like when I had to get up to go to the bathroom or to get something, I would pause it because it was a genuinely good movie.
Well, yeah, I think Lin-Manuel was responsible for the score, if I remember correctly.
For the what?
The music. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy who did Hamilton.
That is likely. But
he's done other Disney stuff as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Like so.
he's brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but the cast, it's like the only person in this entire cast that I actually recognize is John Leguizamo. That's it. He's the only one that I recognize from anything. The other people I don't recognize at all.
A really funny animated movie that's on Netflix that I actually just watched on a fucking whim, because I too am not the kind of person who will pick like animated movies that are targeted towards children, more or less. But on Netflix, there's a movie called The Mitchells versus the Machines, It's fucking hilarious, super entertaining movie. And I actually I couldn't remember the exact title, but looking it up, it's got a 7.7 out of 10 IMDb, 80% Metacritic, 97% Rotten Tomatoes. So, yeah. For all that we just said about not putting too much stock in the numbers, those are 3 very high numbers by
Yeah.
the
Masami,
perspective.
sorry, Masami, did you say Jermaine Franco? Okay, Encanto's music was scored by original score composed by Jermaine Franco. I just looked that up. Okay, so back to Don't Look Up. Don't Look Up. Leonardo DiCaprio. I was wrong. Leonardo DiCaprio is not an executive producer on Don't Look Up. The entire thing was written and produced by Adam McKay. So the reason that I jumped immediately to Leonardo DiCaprio was that the Oscar speech that he gave. You remember when Leonardo DiCaprio won an Oscar for being savagely mauled by a bear? That was
Yeah.
great.
Revenant.
Yeah.
You mean the makeup Oscar that was given to him for that piece of crap when he should have gotten one for the dozen other movies that he's made in previous years and got snubbed for?
We are sorry. Yeah, exactly. His Oscar speech was about how global warming is real. It was basically, a speech about how global warming is impacting all of us, and it's a huge problem, and we need to do something about it. And then he flew away on his private jet. So that's the reason why I thought that he would be an executive producer. But no, he is a strong advocate of action against global warming. And I imagine Jennifer Lawrence was all too happy to jump on that boat as well, along with Meryl Streep, because they might seem like nice, personable people, but there's every indication that they are not in real life. And yeah, all that just sort of clicked together in my mind. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense why Leonardo DiCaprio and Meryl Streep would be in this movie. But nope, it was written and produced by Adam McKay, who must just have put together a fantastic, cheesy, on-the-nose punch in the face that Leonardo DiCaprio decided to helm. I take it that he is the main character, one of the main characters.
Yeah. He's basically the scientist who's all like, the world is going to end because comet.
Yep. Okay.
Tell you what, one that I'm actually looking forward to, and I think I may have discussed this on a previous podcast, but when I went and saw the new Spider-Man, the trailer for the movie The Batman. Now I know most Batman movies have been dark and gritty, but I was very, very hesitant about Robert Pattinson playing Batman.
Half Batman movies have been dark and gritty.
That's true.
Let's not forget about the glorious 90s.
No,
Yes.
We're just gonna pretend that like George Clooney's nipple armor didn't happen.
Are we gonna pretend that Val Kilmer didn't basically stuff his hand up Nicole Kidman?
Yep. Well, no, let's not forget that. Anywho, when I'm sitting there and I'm watching and I'm looking at the Penguin character who is played by Colin Farrell, and I can't tell that it's fucking Colin Farrell. A freaking plus.
I'm sorry, I'm not in the boat. It's good if you enjoy the movie, or if the movie comes out and you see it and you enjoy it, and then more power to you, and I'm happy that you like it. I'm just firmly in the boat of it's been done. Batman's been done to fucking death. Christopher Nolan pretty much took it to its height. That was kind of the best that Batman has gotten or been.
Yeah.
Even though Ben Affleck's great at playing Batman. I mean,
yes,
he does a good job of it, but it's just not necessary anymore. You just move on to the next thing. Christ, are we that deprived of ideas that we need to keep on recycling everything? Not just stories anymore. It's not just stories.
Absolutely.
It's entire characters and universes that we're just recycling now.
And that's why when they redid Spider-Man this last time, they didn't go with his backstory. They didn't start off with saying, "Oh, he got bit by a spider. His uncle died. Great power, great responsibility. Blah blah blah." They did none of that.
Yeah, they jumped right into the middle.
None of that. They jumped into the story.
Why didn't they do that? Because they did it with Tobey Maguire, and he had his 3-movie arc, and that was fine. I mean, Sam Raimi directed... those were bad movies, okay? Those are bad movies that I really enjoy because Sam Raimi is ridiculous, and he knows what he's doing, and he knew that what he was doing was ridiculous. So
Yeah, I
that's
am on
enjoyable.
the party that the Sam Raimi Spider-Man were the best Spider-Man.
They're really fun to watch, and they're
Tobey
really
Maguire
entertaining
is
to
the
watch.
perfect Spider-Man. He's the only
yeah.
believable Spider-Man of
Yeah,
all of them.
because he's a dork. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He is the only one that fits that description of Spider-Man.
Topher Grace's Venom was a little much.
Stretch.
But still, it was still an entertaining. Spider-Man 3 was still an entertaining movie. And then, I'm sorry, Andrew Garfield comes along, and that's fine. He's a dreamy California surfer.
He's the angsty
dude.
Spider-Man.
He's the kid you invite to your party in Orange County, and he brings the weed.
And that's just not. He's just not believable as Spider-Man.
No, he isn't.
In my opinion.
Also, love Emily Stone, or whatever her name is.
Emma Stone, but
Emma Stone. Yeah, love her. Pretty much love her in everything that she's ever been in. She's a great actress. Didn't particularly care for the character of Gwen Stacy, but it was Emma Stone, so I sort of overlooked it.
I think Spider-Verse is the best. I think Spider-Verse is like the cartoon movie a few years back.
Yes.
In the Spider-Verse was the best execution of a Spider-Man movie that's ever been done. Of
Absolutely.
The live action, I think it's a Sam Raimi ones. But hey, fun fact for you guys, the word spider sense or spidey sense has never once been uttered in a live action Spider-Man.
Yep. That's...
Yep. It has been very closely called the spider... they actually called it the Peter Tingle, which made me giggle uncontrollably in the theater, and my sister had to look over at me and say, "Would you grow up?"
I mean, hell yeah.
Do you have your Peter Tingle? Yes, I have the Peter Tingle, just not for bread.
But this is okay. So the glorious thing about Into the Spider-Verse, which was the cartoon movie that came out that Omega told me about, and that's the reason why I watched it. That was a great movie. It was a great movie. It happened to be a Spider-Man movie, but it was a great movie in and of itself.
Yeah,
and that's why it's so strong. And it was also it was a great movie because yes, it took place in the universe of Spider-Man. It was a kid finding out that he was Spider-Man, but it was a completely different story, and you didn't have to have like this supernatural superhero element to it to tell that story. You just would have to modify some elements of it, but all the plot points could remain the same, which is why I think it's so strong.
And my sister and I had this conversation after watching No Way Home. On our way back to the house, we were talking, and the only way that they could do Miles Morales properly is in that format, because his abilities and his powers in the comic would not translate well to live action. It would be very campy. They would have to do a lot of CGI, much like they did with Venom. And even, I mean, I was definitely not a huge fan of Topher Grace's Venom at all. And I'm a fan of Tom Hardy's, but that's just because Tom Hardy matches the Eddie Brock character better. But the CGI and all of that stuff that they have to use, it would not, his abilities, the shock ability that he has, that Miles Morales has, would not translate well into a live action movie. Whereas in the animated version, it is very well translated, and they did it properly. When people got shocked or got stunned by that ability, it didn't show them. Oh, it didn't show the Home Alone 2 Harry getting shocked by the washing machine skeleton showing. It showed the central nervous system of the character that was being shocked, because that's what that ability did. It shut down the central nervous system.
I think, yeah, just generally it's easier to have some visual elements in a animated feature than it is a live action feature. Certainly, even with the advances that we've had in CGI, which generally people can respond negatively to now. we're becoming saturated by CGI, pretty much. But yes, so yeah, where the fuck was this going anyway?
I don't know.
Oh, so okay, fine. The Batman movies that came out in the 90s were schlock. They were ridiculous for the sake of being ridiculous, and we got some really fun shit out of that. I know Danny DeVito was trying to be serious when he played Penguin. It just doesn't. You go back and you watch it, and there's a little bit of that seriousness, but mostly it's just hilarious. Then you get to Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan fucking nails it. At that point, to me, it's like, okay, it doesn't get much better than this. You wrap that character up. Christian Bale was maybe not the perfect Batman, but he did one hell of a job, and the Christopher Nolan storyline and all the rest of that was basically pretty perfect. Just stop it. Ben Affleck comes along. Okay, fine. And now Robert Pattinson is coming along. Fine, but I don't.
Personally, myself, with the Batman, the thing I'm looking forward to is the concentration on the fact that Batman is supposed to be the world's greatest detective. I want to see how they pull that off. I really don't care about any other aspect of it. I'm not even sure if I'm going to go see it, but I just want to see if they can actually realistically pull off the fact of the matter that Bruce Wayne, Batman, is a really goddamn good detective.
Yeah,
what I would really like to see is actually them to concentrate on the Bat family. You could actually do a decent Bat family movie, all the Robins, the Batgirls, the Batwomen, and all that other kind of crap, and only have Batman, Bruce Wayne loosely affiliated with it. And I think you could get away with actually a really decent movie or series or something like that if they went with that direction.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself, because there's a very strong rumor going around that the Flash movie is going to set that exact thing up. That Michael Keaton is reprising his role as Batman for a reason.
So is no one here aware of a Batwoman TV show that's currently on the air?
We don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Kosen, in the same vein of what you were just talking about, yeah, there is a Batwoman TV show. It's on the air. It's currently rated at 3.4 out of 10 on IMDb. It's a TV series. It started in 2019, and it's still going. So yeah, we're definitely doing that. Of course DC is going to do that because Marvel did that, and DC is trying to be as successful as Marvel. So yeah, why not? But in the vein of the Batman, the new movie coming up, where Bruce Wayne is the best detective, and I realize that in the cartoon series he was in the 1994 animated Batman series, yeah, Bruce Wayne was a great detective. Batman was a great detective, and he was figuring out all this stuff and using science and all the rest of that. That flew back then, and that was a kid's show. And I'm sure if I rewatched it today, I would be like, yeah, everybody knows that hydrochloric acid eats through skin. Duh. I don't think that the Robert Pattinson movie coming out is gonna have a lot of detective work. It's not going to be impressive detective work because that would require your audience to think. And if the movies from DC and Marvel have taught us anything, it's that people who watch them do not enjoy thinking too hard. Because if you think too hard, you start to notice all the problems with the movies, and that is not something that DC or Marvel wants. So this is not, I'm just going to call it right now, there's not going to be a lot of clever shit in the Batman. There's not going to be a lot of great detective work. There's going to be, there will be musical cues to let you know that what he's discovered is some, mind-blowing revelation. Like, oh my god, paper comes from trees. Dun, 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 dun. So there's gonna be that. There will definitely be that. But if you're looking for true detective levels of figuring out conspiracy, no, I sincerely doubt that there will be anything like that.
Okay, so here's a promise I will make for you all now. I will take the bullet and I will go see this movie when it comes out, and I will give you a proper review
All right. I'm also gonna see it. I mean, I talk shit about these movies, but I do actually watch them, and I do actually formulate an opinion, so that so I'm not just talking out my ass about movies. About everything else, though, I talk out my ass all the time. Don't get me wrong.
I was about to say it's a very flexible organ.
That's right. Yeah, 2 raccoons,
Orifice. Indeed.
2 whole raccoons.
You know, that's what you need the 55-gallon drum of lube for.
Hell yes.
You're gonna need to get real loose for those raccoons.
Full circle. No,
Indeed.
we have to talk about drugs, and then we're full circle.
I mean,
Raccoons.
you gotta give those raccoons something to make them want to go up there.
My
Yep.
Meth.
my orifice. My orifice is very inviting. I was gonna say orifices. I mean, can I fit a raccoon in my nostril? Probably not.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. Shit. Anyway, what the yeah, okay. Arcane. That's up here. I'll take a look at that. Arcane has a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, which is unusual.
It was really good. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a really big fan of League of Legends, the actual MOBA game itself, but
I know
mean,
nothing about it. Absolutely nothing.
I played League of Legends back in like 2012 or whatever, and at that time, like I played it for 3 or 4 months, and I'm like, this is too toxic for me. I've got other shit to do. Goodbye. But the art is pretty, and what little story they had was pretty great. But the game and community itself is toxic as fuck. At least from what I remember.
Oh no, it's extremely toxic.
All right,
Yeah.
it did get better.
The reason that I will watch Arcane and I will probably love it is because it has Shorey Ogedashlu in it, who is the Iranian actress who I know most recently from The Expanse. She plays the one of the top government officials in The Expanse for the UN. She also played one of the admirals of the Quarian fleet in Mass Effect. She also was in one of the Chronicle of Riddick movies. She was also an admiral in Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah, she's fucking great. I love her. She did a great job in that series.
She's one of my favorite sci-fi actresses of all time. I know she's been in stuff that's not sci-fi, but I've only ever seen her in sci-fi shit, and I fucking love her.
The guy who plays Jace is done. His name is Alejandro.
Yeah, Kevin Alejandro.
Yeah, Kevin Alejandro. I love him in Lucifer because he plays basically Detective Beckett's ex-husband.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Good.
I've never watched Lucifer.
Me neither.
Oh, good show. Good show.
I would recommend binging it in doses, because by the time that we'd gotten through the first, basically I think it's the first 4 seasons before Netflix took it over, and then the seasons got a lot shorter, you just like there's just certain ticks about the character of Lucifer that you just want to shoot yourself.
You just kind of want to. You get sick of Lucifer's shit.
Yeah. So if you do it in bursts, because you will get sick of Lucy's shit.
What was that? What was that? Oh God, what was that show that was on Amazon that had David Tennant and the other guy who looks kind of like David Tennant?
Oh, you mean Good Omens?
Yeah, that.
Martin Sheen?
Martin Sheen looks like I don't even what?
That was a fucking great series. Oh my god.
Oh god, it was super
phenomenal.
Good.
I need to watch that. It's on Amazon still, is it not?
Yes, it's an Amazon original, so it's never going away.
I thought you were talking about Deadwater Fell for a minute.
No.
If you want to watch a David Tennant show or Broadchurch, okay, David Tennant's been in several police dramas, so
I've heard Broadchurch was pretty decent.
Broadchurch, I've heard, is also pretty decent.
I've been watching Chicago Med here recently. Actually, a really good show.
I know that I'm probably the only person here who watches Doctor Who, but
No.
David Tennant, one of the best doctors, in my opinion, who
I
also had one of the worst companions, in my opinion.
I watched most of
Who
Tenet and
was
then
it? I
most of
gotta
Smith.
hear. I gotta hear what Doc thinks is the worst companion for Tenet.
Catherine Tate.
Fuck you.
I can't fucking stand that lady. I cannot stand her just as a person. When I see her in interviews, she annoys me, and whenever she picks a character, the character annoys me. I can't stand her. I don't know why. I'm a bad person.
It's okay. You're fine. I haven't watched any Doctor Who since Matt Smith left. I watched most of Smith and most of Tennant, and that's kind of where I'm at on Doctor Who.
David Tennant also had one of the most wasted companions, and that was I'm not going to be able to remember her
Martha?
proper name. Yes, Martha. Martha had enormous potential as a
Yeah.
companion, but she was wasted because they had, I think it was Stephen Moffat written. Maybe Stephen Moffat hadn't joined the writing team at that time, but
No, he
for
was only
whatever
doing
reason.
the occasional special at that point. It was Davies, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah, it was
all right.
because Moffat had his guest. He did the first Weeping Angels episode.
Yep.
He did. Yeah.
When Martha was a companion.
For whatever reason, the show writers at the time were focused on the storyline of the Doctor, basically mourning the loss of Rose.
Yeah.
And so his focus and attention towards Martha as a companion was, let me tell you all about Rose, and I wish Rose was here. And meanwhile, Martha's just over there being like, what the fuck am I to you? Am I just chopped liver? And yeah, that to me was a real
Rebound
bummer.
companion.
Yeah, it was a real bummer to me because on the plus side, as a companion, she got out of it the most unscathed. Compared to most of the other companions, so she actually got to go back and live her life, and so I'm happy from that perspective. But yeah, she I feel like she was wasted.
You are not wrong.
There you go. Best and worst.
I will say I love everything to do with the Doctor's wife. That is just amazing.
I can never remember the actual actress's name, but yes, she was great.
The Ballad of River Song.
Yes. River Song was amazing. I loved her in every appearance she made.
I will have to say that when it comes to Catherine Tate, the main reason why I liked her so much is because I'm really into British comedians, and she's a brilliant comedian. And I got a taste of her before as a comedian, before I saw her on Doctor Who, interestingly enough.
I first saw her on The Office. I first saw her as that character on The Office, and in that show, the American version of The Office, because the British version is so much better. And fuck you out there listening to this. She's good. She's good in the American version of The Office because she has a character that is on a timer. Like, you know that she's not a permanent addition to the crew. She is a guest boss initially who comes in, and she's great for like a couple episodes. She is funny, she is awkward, and you're supposed to sort of dislike her as a character so that when you get spoilers, if you haven't watched The Office by now, also fuck you. When you get to the end of her storyline, you have sympathy for her because you're like, oh, I guess, I have been, thinking of her in this, sort of way, blah blah blah. So that she was good on The Office. I'll give her that. She had a good character and she played it well.
Did you watch I think it was the 50th anniversary special where Matt Smith and Tennant reprised their roles for like this special that came out in theaters a while back?
That was really fun.
I haven't been up to date on my Doctor Who because the scheduling really fucked me up. When they got to the 11th Doctor, to the current Doctor who's out right now, I got the first season that she was in, and then I think COVID hit.
Yeah.
So it really, for whatever reason, the scheduling of Doctor Who got fucked up in my head, and I sort of stopped watching it because I just I forgot that I was waiting for something. The new Doctor also. The new Doctor, potentially also going in my most wasted category, because when I saw the first season of that, it's like they were it seems like the show writers now were trying a little too hard to hit on topical social issues, and they were a little too on the nose, and that's a bad thing for Doctor Who to do. It's a fine thing for Doctor Who to explore social topically. That's what fucking sci-fi is for in the first place. But yeah, when it's really blatant and on the nose, and you're also dealing with a brand new character who's come into a long-running show, you don't want to brand that character with, like, lazy writing. You want to give them the best of the best so that they can stick around for a couple seasons and people will like them. So I'm worried about that. But as I said, haven't seen all of it.
Well, I think I heard that Moffat stepping down and Davies is coming back.
I like Stephen Moffat. I mean, I liked a whole bunch of the stuff that he wrote, and then yeah, I think this the new season 11 or whatever it is that's come around. I was surprised. Is he still the main writer, or is he just sort of stepping in and crossing T's and dotting I's?
As far as I know, he took over full-time for Davies at some point, 'cause his specials, like whenever he did episodes when Davies was the main showrunner, did so well. And I will admit, I liked it when he did the occasional episode, but the minute he took over full-time, I just lost all interest.
Gotcha.
So
I may be remembering it incorrectly. I remember Stephen Moffat.
I could be wrong too. Yeah, I could be wrong too. Like I
remember him stepping in for Matt Smith. Most of Matt Smith's episodes I seem to remember being written by Moffat.
Yeah, that's when he started to take over.
Well, so basically, the 9th Doctor and the 10th Doctor was completely Davies. Davies was the main showrunner. There was obviously a lot of other writers who came in to write episodes. Stephen Moffat was one of the writers during Davies' time. When Davies stepped down, Stephen Moffat stepped in around Matt Smith's era as the 11th Doctor to be the showrunner. And Stephen Moffat was there for, Matt Smith's run. He was there for Capaldi's run as the 12th Doctor. And the 13th Doctor has been a little bit of Moffat, but there was also rumors going about that they were tapping Davies again to replace Moffat because, well, there's a lot of people that believe that Moffat is a really good writer. He is, no doubt about that whatsoever. But as a showrunner, he's got his issues, and there's a lot of people that felt that we could do better with we could get a better showrunner, essentially.
Okay, I'm looking up show writers.
In other news, the Olympics are starting soon.
Are we in the Winter Olympics already?
We are.
Yep.
Actually, before we move on, I should say, Kosen, that it's Chris Chibnall who is writing. He is the show writer for Doctor Who, for the 13th Doctor.
Oh, okay. Well, I was not aware. I stopped watching at the end of Capaldi, so I didn't even watch the end of Capaldi. I can't remember her name, but the girl who played the most important girl in the world, the most OP companion that the Doctor's possibly ever had, whose name completely escapes me. Claire Smith.
Clara.
Or Clara is her name. Basically, when they ended, before they even got to the end of her storyline, I stopped watching.
I will admit I hated Clara with a passion. She was a lot of why I stopped watching. I just hated her. I don't know why.
Okay, Masami, you might be interested in this. You know the only reason why they casted that young woman as Clara is because she was the only person who auditioned who could talk faster than Matt Smith.
I can see it. I mean, I won't fault that actress. She probably did a great job with that character.
Faster than Matt Smith and faster than Peter Capaldi. I think she reprised her role.
Wow.
But yeah, she okay, so anyway, Chris Chibnall has been around since the 13th Doctor premiered 7th of October 2018. He has been the main show writer. And the thing about this is, you look at her first season, the 13th Doctor's first season, Chris Chibnall is definitely, it looks like he's supervising writer on most of these episodes. However, we get into guest writers. We get into Ed Heim, Joe Wilkinson, Pete McTeague, Vinay Patel, and I think that's about it. Mallory Blackman. These are all names. Most of these names I do not know. I know Vinay Patel because she stepped in and wrote the episode "The Demons of the Punjab," which is like Juneteenth in this country. I did not know that Juneteenth was a thing until Watchmen did a TV episode about it. I was that ignorant about American history. So a TV show came out and told me that Juneteenth was a thing, and then I went and I read in the history books. Holy shit! Yeah, this is why wasn't I taught this in fucking high school?
That's a whole other discussion.
Yeah, Vinay Patel is responsible in a similar way for educating me about what happened when the British pulled out of India. I had no idea how much blood the Hindu nationalist movement spilled. They basically just committed mass murder of every single Muslim who did not want to leave. But the Hindu nationalist movement was horrible and brutal, and I had no idea that any of that history happened until Doctor Who did a TV show about it. So I'll say that about the 13th Doctor. I'll say that.
Pakistan literally exists because the people of the Indian subcontinent hated each other so much they had to split into two different countries.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and then
the Hindus tried to murder everyone on the way out and didn't succeed.
Yeah, it's fucking mind-blowing to me. So I had no idea about any of that. So Vinay Patel gets an A+ in my book for teaching me something about history, which I think I should have been taught in high school.
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious how Americans have this perception of Pakistanis as Middle Easterns and Indians as South Asian when they're literally the same fucking people.
Literally.
Like, they're literally the same fucking people, just they split between Muslims and Hindus, and all the Muslims formed their own. Well, some British people drew an arbitrary line on the map and says all the Muslims get to go to this side of the line, and all the Hindus can stay on this side of the line.
So
as they ridiculous.
Do. Yeah, and the other thing I don't think I realized until I got to college was that Kashmir is not just the name of a Led Zeppelin song.
Or a type of sweater.
Clothing.
Yeah, or a type of sweater.
It is, in fact, one of the most hilariously over-militarized... You think the Korean DMZ is ridiculous and hilarious? Holy shit. The things that happen every day at the border between India and Pakistan in the Kashmir mountain range is fucking absurd. You should go look it up on the internet. There's this whole like ceremonial peacocking thing that they both do on either side of their lines with these like huge ceremonial regiments and like doing these armed formations and shit. It's ridiculous. It is hilarious,
but also funny.
I think we should have been well, it's funny until India strikes down one of his constitutional amendments and invades Jabal Kashmir and says this is mine now.
Or when like, Chinese people who are on the other side of the third border to that region, the Chinese government decides to send agitators over there to cause conflicts and inflame things more just to increase their geopolitical pull by destabilizing their neighbors.
Yeah, it's great. That whole
hooray for the Belt and Road Initiative. Great. It's not imperialism.
No, nothing of the sort. So anyway, Doctor Who is a great show.
Yes, Doctor Who is a pretty good show.
And you learned that we're even bigger nerds than we were before.
Yep. No, that's great. All right. So this has been going on for quite some time. Nothing really happened in gaming news, but we always love talking about TV and movies.
That's true. I was about to say, there is one thing that I was kind of interested in gaming news, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty niche because it's a From Software thing. And I'm not sure if any of you have ever played the Armored Core series.
Nope.
Okay.
Armored Core as in giant fucking mech suits.
Yes.
Are available on PlayStation 1. Thank you very fucking much. Yes.
Okay. So, currently right now, there has been, this is currently speculation and rumor, but From Software has submitted certain things on the Japan side of things in regards to the possible production of a new Armored Core series.
From Software's Armored Core 6 reportedly revealed via survey.
Hard pass.
The unnamed installment, which would be the first full Armored Core title since 2012, is said to feature a sci-fi world created by Hideki... Why am I now just pronouncing his name wrong? Hideki Miyazaki, three-dimensional dynamic action, and a high degree of freedom in customization.
And filled with microtransactions because it's 2022. I would love a new Mech Warrior style game because, God, like, I never played Armored Core, but like the OG Mech Warrior games were amazing.
They
And
were
I
really
would-
awesome. But the one thing is, though, is that
Kill for a modern remake, but just knowing how it works of like you can get these type of new legs for $4.99. You want, like, it's just gonna it is so perfectly suited to just be ruined by microtransaction.
you would think so, but From Software games have actually been really good about not going down the microtransaction hole.
Then isn't it about time for them to do so?
I would love it, and if it is the one developer that would do that, that's great. I'm just more talking in general. The notion that like a Mech Warrior style game seems to be unfortunately perfectly designed to be nickel and dimed.
So what you're saying is they're due. No, I mean, honestly, I tried to play the Battletech games, and I did Battletech tabletop when I was younger, but no thanks on the Battletech games. I can't get past the control scheme. I love that you can control each individual portion of the mech. The legs are controlled by one thing, and the torso is controlled by another, but fuck that. Allow me to lock the two together so that I can move them as one.
We already have walking mechanics in game. It's called pressing and holding W.
That's for those of us who actually use a keyboard, though, Doc.
I do use a keyboard when I'm playing.
Those of us who are superior in every way.
Now, I'm beginning to get used to the fact that I play that the only thing I really need a controller for in GTA is flying, and I'm still terrible at that.
Yeah, I can manage flying in GTA without the controller, but I lose my push to talk capability because I got to do WASD and numpad.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something I do about that, but fuck it.
I'm able to do it all in one hand. I don't know. I did just putting the roll commands on what would be for you guys Q and E, and that I do all my airplane and helicoptering in GTA with just one hand on the keyboard, one hand on the mouse, like always.
Yeah.
You must be try maybe if see if it works for you.
Is
that what you do on the numpad? Is the roll commands?
Okay, so yeah, 8 is tip forward, 5 is tip back, 4 is tip to the left, and 6 is tip to the right. On WASD, W is up, S is down, A is spin left, and D is spin right.
Okay, so wait, so
it's the same for swimming up underwater too.
So by up and down for airplane, are you talking like forward acceleration is W?
For airplane, yes. For airplane, W is forward acceleration, and S is cancel forward acceleration.
And for helicopters, W is up.
Yeah,
and
W is move horizontally straight up. And
my recommendation is to what I consider more flight sim style is for W and S make that pitch up and down, and then for the what would be forward and back on an airplane, or accelerate and decelerate, and up and down on a helicopter, shift and control. So you do your fingers and pinky, and then that's it. That's how I do it. It's flight sim style. That's how I do 6 Degree of Freedom in Space Engineers, that type of thing. So maybe give that a shot. See if it frees up your second hand. So you can masturbate while flying now.
Which is exactly that's basically my entire dream in GTA is to be able to pilot a plane while I jack off. But I also, what kind of?
So you're saying you want a fulfilling takeoff?
I want a fulfilling takeoff. I want all positions.
I don't just want one position. I want all positions.
It's funny because he was on a sort of a future plane, which was a spaceship, also a space plane. It's when he said it. That's just why I'm clever. So, okay, I was gonna say what bums me out about this conversation about GTA at all is because the controls are so fucking wonky and they can't like get shit straight. There are 3 interaction keys in GTA. There's spacebar, there's enter, there's E, or there's M. And there's F if you want to get in and out of your car. Yeah, it's fucking just the control scheme is wonky. The best helicopter controls that I've ever played, and I hate Ubisoft, but Ghost Recon Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint got helicopter physics correct. Because a helicopter in real life, when you're flying a helicopter, it isn't about, pushing yourself forward and pushing yourself backward. It is about picture a plate on top of a waterbed. The plate is your rotor. And you're gliding on top of this waterbed, and depending on how you push the plate, it influences the waterbed underneath you, and you go forward, backwards, and all the rest.
But that's how it works in GTA. Like I'm telling you,
in GTA, I go forward. But okay,
the fact that you bring up Ghost Recon, my control I set up my control scheme in Ghost Recon for helicopters the same that I did it for GTA. And it is the same. Like with the control scheme that I use on helicopters in GTA, when I hit W, it's not W for me, but what would be W for you? The nose tips forward, and then you hit Shift, which is the up command for the propellers. So you tilt forward, and the tilted rotors are now pulling you in that direction. So it is accurate in that sense. I'm telling you, give the changing up the control scheme a try if you're not using Q and E for anything while piloting a helicopter.
This explains so much about how you are so fucking quick with that Sparrow, dude.
I mean,
the Sparrow is quick.
Everything. Well, this is the flight sim control scheme that I've been using my entire life. And that's one of the benefits of me having to rebind every single control in every game that I ever play, is that, like, I get to figure out exactly how I want to do it. It's kind of shitty with GTA because there's like 17 pages of controls.
Yeah.
But, that's just how Rockstar likes to do their games. But yeah, next time you're in GTA, just give it a try. Give it a try. It might surprise you that it makes a little more sense than... Because, God, I couldn't fucking imagine having to use 2 hands to fly a helicopter. Holy shit. I can't even... When you say that you have to use your numpad, I'm impressed that you managed to do that. And you go 2 hands on keyboard. That, to me, is crazy.
How did you... Completely off topic, Omega. How did you do in keyboard 1 and keyboard 2 in college?
Oh, like the piano classes?
Yeah.
Fucking awful.
Okay. I didn't do great, but...
No, I'm terrible at the piano.
Okay.
I was
it's slightly...
I used 3 fingers for most of my music career, and then when I got better at it, I added in a pinky, and I had 4, and like that was the limit. 4 fingers. That was when I was like, all right, that's my brain capacity there. And then they start asking me to use like both hands and fingers independently. Fuck that noise. I was pretty damn good at class percussion because that's just like, 2 sticks and you can do that.
I was gonna say I'm percussionist. We got 2 hands. You got this hand, I got this hand, and sometimes we use both at the same time. That's it.
I even got somewhat decent at like 4 mallet marimba kind of stuff, but like
that's all bullshit.
Keyboards, pianos, like oh my god, my brain does not compute.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not that's the thing though. That's why I'm so impressed when you can do the 2 hands on the keyboard like that, because it's not necessarily the complex things on one hand, it's the coordinating the 2 separate hands independently of each other. So if I got 1 hand on a mouse and then 1 hand on the keyboard, I can do that. But if I have to, like, the thought of having to pilot different controls on the helicopter across my 2 different hands is awful. And also then you can't look around with the mouse while you're flying.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
underwater controls are very similar. So when you see me drown, it's because I refuse to move my right hand off of the mouse and onto the numpad to save myself, or I forgot that I had to do that.
Well, hey, what I've just been saying here applies to swimming too, because for me with
That'd be
swimming,
great.
shift is my swim forward button. So I swim forward with shift. Whatever direction my dude is facing, I hold shift, he swims in that direction. I use W and S to pitch up and down, and A and D to go left and right. So I just, whenever I'm swimming, I just hold down shift and he'll go straight, and then you just use the directions just to change direction and not actually move in those directions. I didn't know that. I guess it's a benefit that I had to rebind all my shit, and literally took me an hour and a half for GTA.
I believe it.
Not surprising. Again, their shit is all over the place. It's worse than Halo. I bet if I had used 2 hands, I would have been a better Stepmania player.
Halo is just awful because they put each different game as a different control scheme.
Yeah,
in the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
that's what was awful about that. It's like, oh, we just finished Halo 1. Let's play Halo 2. Sorry, Doc, give me 15 minutes. I've got to rebind all my keys again.
He said, okay, and we'll end on this story. Oh, so we're all geared up to play whatever the second. I think it was Halo 2. Halo Reach came out, and then Halo 2 came out, or was it Halo Combat Evolved that came out right after Reach?
Well, Halo Combat Evolved is the very first
in the
game.
MCC.
In the MCC, yeah, as we played them, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, we played them. I think in chronological order.
Yeah, Reach, MCC, and then Halo 2.
Yes, we played them in world chronologically, so Reach was the prequel. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we were all geared up to play Halo MCC. Halo Combat Evolved CE. And yeah, we get in there, and that's when Omega makes this discovery. So yeah, it was give me 15 minutes, and he rebinds all his keys, and I'm listening to him and say, "God damn, motherfucker!" All the rest of this. And meanwhile, as he's doing this, I'm walking around the starting area. I discover that you can actually push benches. You can't actually push each other. You clip through each other, but you have benches in that start area, and you can push a bench over to your friend. And if you put the bench in between you and another player, you can push the other player. So I was moving Omega all around the map as he was in the control screen.
I came out of the menu and I'm like, where the fuck am
I? And I was standing right on top of him.
That is like the first time I ever played GTA with y'all. I was in my menus fucking around with shit, and the only thing I see is my menus closed because I was killed. I hear Doc giggling unfucking controllably every time I died, and I was like, "Fuck, would you please stop?"
I know, it's such fucking great. Yeah, the control. Well, the point is that I fucking love this. Is how I enjoy playing games the most. Figuring out how to break games. Or figuring out what I can do that the game doesn't want me to do. But yeah, good times. All right, so that's the end. It's almost 2-hour podcast. This is our longest podcast all year, guys. Congratulations. So, cheers.
It's the one where we've talked about hardly any gaming.
Yeah.
I was going to mention another Ubisoft thing, but...
No, denied. Shut the fuck down. Good night, everybody. Penis.
Good night, penis.